What if one forgotten collection of sealed royal papers changed everything the palace thought it knew? It begins on a quiet autumn morning in London. The skies over Buckingham Palace are gray, and the atmosphere inside the historic residence is unusually tense. Senior aides hurry through polished corridors carrying confidential folders marked with the Royal Archives seal. Rumors spread quickly among palace staff that a decades-old collection of personal correspondence belonging to the late Queen Elizabeth II has finally been authorized for historical review. No one expects the discovery to become the biggest royal mystery in years. King Charles has been preparing for a routine meeting regarding several heritage projects when his private secretary enters with an unusually serious expression. "Your Majesty," he says carefully, "the archivists have uncovered something unexpected." Charles raises an eyebrow. What sort of discovery? They've located a sealed collection of handwritten letters that were never catalogued with the rest of Her Late Majesty's personal papers. Silence fills the room. The king slowly places his reading glasses on the desk. Who sealed them? The envelope bears the late Queen's personal cipher. That single detail changes everything. Within hours, senior constitutional advisors, royal historians, and legal custodians gather inside one of the palace's secure conference rooms. Every document must be examined according to strict archival procedures before anyone can determine its historical significance. Outside the palace walls, absolutely no one knows what is happening. Inside, curiosity grows by the minute. Among the letters are personal reflections written over many years, not official state papers, but thoughtful observations about leadership, family traditions, public duty, and preserving the monarchy through changing times. The Queen's elegant handwriting appears almost unchanged throughout the collection. One passage immediately captures everyone's attention. History often remembers the crown more clearly than the people who wear it. The room becomes silent again. Royal historian Sir Michael gently closes the folder. Her Majesty clearly intended these writings to be preserved, he says. But why seal them? No one has an answer. Meanwhile, Queen Camilla has been attending a charity engagement outside London. She returns to Buckingham Palace late that afternoon, noticing an unusual number of security officers and senior advisors entering private offices. Even experienced members of the household seem unusually cautious. She quietly asks one aide, "Has something happened?" "I'm afraid I cannot comment, ma'am." That response only deepens the mystery. Elsewhere inside the palace, Prince William receives a confidential call requesting his presence for a private briefing. He arrives shortly afterward. Charles greets his eldest son warmly but appears thoughtful. "I wanted you to hear this directly." William listens carefully as the archivists explain the discovery. "So these letters were never meant for public release?" he asks. "Not necessarily," replies one advisor. "We simply don't yet know the late Queen's intentions." William nods. "Then we should proceed exactly as she would have wished, with patience." Charles agrees. No speculation, no assumptions. Yet speculation is exactly what begins spreading once whispers escape the palace. Royal correspondents notice unusual activity around Buckingham Palace. Several respected historians are seen entering through a private gate. Television crews begin arriving outside. News presenters wonder whether the palace is preparing a major historical announcement. Social media erupts with theories. Some believe the letters concern constitutional reforms. Others imagine forgotten stories from the Queen's early reign. A few claim they involve priceless royal artifacts. None of the rumors are confirmed. Back inside, archivists continue carefully reviewing the papers. Instead of controversy, they discover something far more moving. Many letters focus on service. The late Queen repeatedly emphasizes that public trust must always outweigh personal preference. One handwritten page reads, "The institution survives because each generation accepts responsibility rather than comfort." Charles quietly rereads the sentence several times. For a long moment, no one speaks. Then he smiles gently. "That sounds exactly like my mother." The atmosphere shifts. Instead of anxiety, the room fills with admiration. The collection becomes less about hidden secrets and more about preserving the philosophy that guided Britain's longest reigning monarch. Yet one sealed envelope remains unopened. Unlike the others, this envelope carries a handwritten instruction, to be opened only after careful consideration. No date, no explanation, no recipient. The legal custodians debate whether they should proceed immediately. Some advise caution. Others argue that the Queen intentionally left the material within the archives. Charles ultimately makes the decision. "We will follow every established procedure." The envelope remains sealed. For now, That choice frustrates journalists waiting outside. Questions multiply. What is inside? Why was it separated? Could it contain guidance for future generations? The palace refuses to comment. Over the next 2 days, historians carefully catalog every page. Patterns begin emerging. The queen often reflected on unity. She admired those who quietly fulfilled their duties without seeking attention. She believed stability came through patience rather than dramatic gestures. William reads several passages alongside Catherine. Both are deeply moved. Catherine remarks softly, "These aren't instructions." William looks up. "No, they're lessons." Meanwhile, Camilla is invited to join Charles for a private evening discussion. The king explains the discovery in detail. She listens with genuine interest. "The queen always wrote beautifully," Camilla says. "I imagine future historians will treasure these." Charles nods. "I think Mother wanted future generations to understand the burden of service." Camilla smiles. "That sounds like her." Their conversation is interrupted when another archivist arrives carrying a newly translated inventory prepared decades earlier. One line immediately stands out. It references an additional document connected to the sealed envelope. Location unknown. The inventory simply reads, "Supplement stored separately under sovereign instruction." The room falls silent again. Another document? Stored somewhere else? The archivists immediately begin searching secure repositories, castle vaults, and historical catalogs. Days pass. Then comes an astonishing phone call. A conservation specialist at Windsor Castle reports discovering a forgotten storage box during routine preservation work. Inside rests a leather portfolio bearing Queen Elizabeth II's personal seal. The palace arranges immediate transport under strict security. By evening, the portfolio arrives at Buckingham Palace. Everyone gathers once more. Charles carefully studies the seal before speaking. "My mother always believed history should teach, not divide." He pauses. "So whatever this contains, we shall read it with respect." The archivist reaches for the ribbon securing the portfolio. Every eye in the room follows the movement. The knot is slowly loosened. The cover begins to open. Inside, the first page reveals a handwritten title that no one expected to see. The room collectively gasps. Charles's expression changes instantly. Without saying a word, he continues reading. And as the others lean forward to glimpse the remarkable document, one unforgettable realization begins to settle over everyone present. The greatest royal mystery was never about secrets. It was about the legacy the late queen hoped future generations would one day understand. The room remained silent as King Charles slowly turned each page. Rather than hidden accusations or startling revelations, the portfolio contained deeply personal reflections from Queen Elizabeth II about the enduring responsibilities of the monarchy. She wrote of resilience during times of uncertainty, the importance of compassion, and the need for every generation to leave the institution stronger than they found it. One passage especially resonated with everyone present. "The measure of a sovereign is not found in moments of celebration, but in the quiet decisions made when no applause can be heard." Charles paused, visibly moved. "My mother never stopped thinking about the future," he said softly. Even in these private writings, her concern was always for those who would come after. Camilla quietly nodded in agreement, while William and Catherine exchanged thoughtful glances. The discovery had become something far more meaningful than anyone had imagined, a lasting reminder of the values that had defined one of history's longest-serving monarchs. After consulting historians and constitutional advisors, the king decided that selected portions of the writings would eventually be preserved for future generations through the royal archives, while the most personal family reflections would remain private, honoring the late queen's dignity and wishes. When Buckingham Palace later announced the archival discovery, it described the collection as an important historical treasure, offering insight into Queen Elizabeth II's lifelong dedication to public service. Around the world, the news inspired renewed appreciation for her remarkable reign rather than sensational speculation. As the evening drew to a close, Charles carefully closed the leather portfolio and looked toward the portrait of his mother hanging nearby. Her greatest gift, he reflected, was not simply wearing the crown, it was showing us how to serve with humility. The room fell into respectful silence. In that quiet moment, everyone understood that the true legacy uncovered in the sealed archive was not a hidden scandal or shocking revelation, but a timeless message about duty, integrity, and unity, one that would continue to guide the monarchy for generations to come.